Lots of people know about stock market, Bitcoin, real estate, and IRAs, and those are traditional things that will grow your wealth. Today, we're talking about alternative investments that a lot of people don't talk about or don't know about. I'm Afro Senpai, and I'm interested in everything related to the average person like you and me building wealth. Let's go. The first one combines a few things that everyone might already be familiar with. We know about Roth IRAs, we know about crypto, but did you know that there's crypto IRAs that you can invest in? So I use alto.com. There's also I Trust Capital. Now, full disclaimer, they don't give you the actual keys of the account. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. But what you're going to be doing is depositing money into the portfolio. And then within the portfolio, you buy your favorite digital assets. And they are partnered with Coinbase. So if it's on Coinbase, then it will be an investable digital asset on Alto. Next is peer-to-peer lending. If you have money that you've set aside and it's not really doing anything, and it's for sure not growing with inflation or the garbage rates that the banks are giving you, you could loan it out to other people, slowly getting interest as well as the principal back on the loan that you're giving to them. Google peer-to-peer lending or who are the top rated peer-to-peer lender websites to find a good match for you. I have not done this myself, solely because I have money that I want to be using for specific things, either paying off debt or buying up as much Bitcoin and XRP as I can. Next is intellectual property. Are you creative? Have you created a book? Have you created music that you can then sell? Your thoughts can become an asset for you. For instance, the books that I've published in the past, those are intellectual properties of mine. People pay me for my thoughts. Luxury watches. Now, this one I have not gotten into yet, but it is on my list. I always have goals for every year. And if I complete all the goals, I will buy myself a Rolex Explorer 2. That's the first luxury watch that I'm going to get for myself. How do you know what brands you should be getting for luxury watches? Rolex, Audemars Piguet, Constantin, and Patek Philippe. Those are like the four horsemen of luxury watches. Those are something that I'm not really going to sell. I'll pass on to my kids. But it's nice to know that even though you're looking flashy, you have an asset that appreciates in price. Next is precious metals. I go through apmex.com and I only buy gold, silver, and platinum. Options trading and future trading. Most people know how to buy and sell stocks. Options trading and futures trading are buying and selling stocks, but on steroids. I haven't done futures trading yet, but it is on my list of things to learn. I do have a mini series on options trading where each part kind of piggybacks off of the other and it walks you through how to do options trading. So if that sounds interesting to you, check that out. Domain names. Michael Saylor got rich because he had a website called hope.com and sold that for millions of dollars. So you can get something like bruh.com and someday somebody has a brand bruh and then wants to take it off your hands for a pretty penny. This is going to be like a long game type thing. I've bought some domains in the Web3 space. Web3 domains ending in .io or .ai. That's kind of the newer forefront. So when the metaverse really takes off, those Web3 names are probably going to be acquired more quickly. Just something to think about. The next is crypto staking. Let's say you invested early, and even if you didn't invest early, you just have a lot of a particular digital asset that is doing very well in price. If your platforms allow staking, which is basically like saving it into a specific account on that platform, just like interest in a bank, they're going to give you a kickback for holding that particular digital asset with them. Now, do keep in mind that it's like interest and therefore it will be taxed. So I took all of my coins off of staking on Coinbase just because it was 4 or 5 different digital assets that was giving me interest, and it's more of a headache to keep track of the interest that I was getting for tax purposes than collecting the small amount of money that the crypto staking was giving me. Private equity. So when you hear publicly traded companies, that implies that there are privately traded companies. So you know how people would love to invest in Chick-fil-A or SpaceX, but you can't do that because they're not publicly traded. So what companies will do when they're first starting out is say, hey, I've got this great idea. Does anybody want to get on board with me? This is essentially Shark Tank. And somebody says, yeah, I'll put down $1 million if I can get 5% of the company. So as the company gets more and more money, the company becomes more and more valuable. That 1 million will also go up in value as the company grows. Imagine investing in Uber when it was just a thought on paper. To invest in a private company, you do have to be an accredited investor. And that's just a fancy word for saying you have to have a lot of money. Here's the actual criteria to be an accredited investor. And before you give up on yourself and say, well, I guess I'm never going to be investing in private companies, don't sell yourself short. Have a growth mindset. If you want to be an accredited investor one day, then make the moves to become one. Until then, if you want to get into a platform that will allow you to invest in companies that have not struck it big yet, look at Start Engine. Just know that the companies may not make it, and so you got to be comfortable putting money in and understanding that you may not get that money back. Next is collectibles. So think your vintage cars, stamps, jewelry, trading cards, anything that's old school that can be valuable in the future. This is where it's at. I'm not into collectibles per se. I did have some vintage Pokemon cards that I gave to my son, and he has promptly distributed most of them out to different people to get the cards that he wants. So those might have been worth something, but it's kind of a hassle keeping things in pristine condition, and the payout is not necessarily guaranteed in the future. So this is something that I'm not very interested in. The next one is farmland. Do you have access to acres and acres of land and it's just sitting there? Find a cow, put it on your farmland. Find some livestock, put it on your farmland. Believe it or not, you can get tax breaks for owning livestock. And sometimes farmers will just pay you to put their animals on your land. Another way to get into farmland is a website called Acre Trader, but this is going to be similar to other passive investing sites like Fundrise or Masterworks, where you're giving somebody money and they're doing the dirty work for you, and your portfolio just grows over time. And sometimes it's harder to sell a position, so you have to wait, and then you've got to pay taxes on your gains, and you don't get the actual tax benefits that would be available to you if you just did the groundwork yourself. But it is definitely an option. Check out fundrise.com. Passive real estate investing. You put money up, this company will buy and sell properties throughout the United States for you. But like I said, small upside and no tax benefits. I do have a Fundrise account, but I stopped putting money into it a long time ago. I sold most of it to buy Bitcoin, and I'm just letting what I have in there do its thing. Next, fine art. Did you know that fine art appreciates faster than the S&P 500? Now you might be saying to yourself, I don't know what art I should be investing in. All I know is Picasso. And that's totally valid. I'm in the same boat. But Masterworks.io buys and sells valuable art pieces, and you can basically buy shares of famous pieces from past and present artists. I do have an account with Masterworks, but I just haven't put money in because when I found out about it, I was either buying as much Bitcoin as I could or getting out of debt. But Masterworks is definitely on my list to put money into in the future. Next is bonds. Bonds are just debt. Let's say a city or a state wants to fund a big project, but they don't have the money. They'll ask people to basically chip in, and this is a bond. Now, what happens with a bond, your money is held up for X amount of time. And once that time period is up, you get your money back plus interest as a thank you for giving them some of your money. Now, while you do have to pay taxes on the interest that you collect, you should check out municipal bonds because those are state projects and they typically don't have any tax for the interest that you collect. Now, most people know about CDs, but I tell everybody to steer clear of these. CDs are not very liquid, meaning that you have to hold them in that particular CD for X amount of years for the interest to accrue. And if you need the money ahead of schedule, then you have to pay fees. And then on the money that you do get from that CD, you will pay taxes, which is why you should just put it into the next vehicle that I'm about to talk about, which is a high yield savings account. High yield savings accounts offer the same exact thing as a CD, especially if you're going to an online only bank like ally.com or a credit union, but it's going to be a lot more liquid, meaning you can pull the money out whenever you need it. And sometimes, let's be real, the stock market sucks, the digital asset market sucks, real estate sucks. So sometimes it's best to just have your money parked while you're thinking of your next big move. Last but not least is oil. Now, you may not realize, but there's a lot of tax advantages, tax breaks, tax benefits, tax credits for producing and drilling for oil. Now, for me, I know never say never, but I feel like I'm never going to get into oil because it seems so oily. Like, it's not a joke. It just seems, I don't want to, like, you know what I mean? It just seems like I got to wash my hands. Like, what am I doing with my life? But to each their own. And that's going to do it for this episode. If you found value in this video, subscribe so you can learn more wealth building strategies. Don't forget to pay that like tax. Comment below which one of these alternative assets surprised you, or which ones have you never heard about or thought about, and which ones do you already have. Share this with a buddy who's trying to chase that paper with you. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go further, go with the team. It helps to have somebody bouncing ideas off of. So share this video with somebody who also wants to build their wealth. And until the next one, remember to smile because you are beautiful.
Peace.